What's happening, folks? Back with another reaction, back with some more punk rock slash ska, which is to say, we're going to listen to a track from a compilation I got many, many years ago. I don't even think I still have the disc. I think it was one of the discs that was in a CD booklet that I eventually lost track of. Maybe it was stolen, maybe I just misplaced it. But we're talking Misfits of Ska II, which featured some bands that I think are pretty, well known internationally for people who are into ska. A few bands that, at least for me, I had never heard of. One of whom was called, or I think is actually the operative rendering of the verb, Smog UK. And I say that because I don't think they were around for very long. I think mainly the early 90s is when they were making music. And yeah, I've never seen them on another compilation. I never saw like an album from them. But yeah, bottom line, it seems like they were around for at least a little bit. They're a UK group, or were a UK group from what I understand. And yeah, this track, it is, I suppose, ska, the rhythm guitar, that classic ska rhythm guitar, it's there, but the overall vibe of the tune is old school punk rock. It feels very like early 80s hardcore punk rock, even if, again, one layer of it is, I think, technically in the ska style. So, when I heard this, number one, it felt less ska than most of the other tracks on the compilation. And I just really enjoyed the sound. Again, I'm into early 80s punk rock, old school Subhumans, early Bad Religion, Dead Kennedys, that kind of stuff. So early 80s hardcore is very much one of my main flavors. So like I said, when I heard this, I was pleasantly surprised because it, again, and I like ska that's very, what's the right word? Like kind of euphoric ska with sing-songy kind of choruses and brass riffs and so on. I'm down for all of that. But this, again, it's a totally different and much more, old school and hardcore flavored ska track. So yeah, lyrically, it's interesting because it's called Faceache, which, maybe it's someone's face is, making you ache because when you see them, you think of all the negative things you've come to associate with them, perhaps. But the essence of the song is that this other person is presenting as similar to the narrator. Like they're saying, like, hey, I'm just like you, look at me, like we have the kind of same background. I look just like you. But the narrator is saying, like, I know even though you look like me, it's just a disguise to, obscure who and what you are. I've got to keep my eye on you before you go too far. And I'm trying to remember, there's it's like, oh, like, we're all equal, but you're first among equals, or like, I forget exactly the way the second verse starts, but it's that same idea that, like, you're presenting yourself as, like, you're into this, but then suddenly it's all about you, like the first time anyone, wants to get credit or, maybe do something more with what, we're doing here. So it feels like maybe it's a shot at like plastic punks or like, fake Rudies who are just, doing it for style and they're not really about the scene, not really about the music. So it's like, oh yeah, you got the spiky hair and, you got your clothes, you look like you go to shows and, you talk a big game, some other bands, but I don't know, it just seems like maybe you're here because you want to be on a poster, like, it's all about you. It's not really about, like, the ethos of the scene. So I don't know if that's really what it's about, but that scene, that's my best stab at what the lyrics seem to be about, which is like, you're actually not who you say you are, and you seem to be a dangerous presence, even though you're acting like, hey, I'm just one of you, I'm one of you guys, I'm like everybody else. So let's get it. This is Faceache by Smog UK, a track included on a compilation, Misfits of Ska II. I'm trying to remember the year. Let me look at Discogs really quickly, see if I can find out. Okay, so Misfits of Ska II is from 1997, and Smog UK, let's find out. Yeah, it says active in the early 90s. They put out two, like 7 inches, one by themselves and then one that was a split with a group called Shutdown, both of them in 95. So like I said, it seems to be a really short-lived group, but either way, I think this is a killer tune, so let's get it. This is Faceache by Smog UK from the Misfits of Ska II compilation.
So now we're back to the beginning. the beginning of the end. And I'm wondering if you're an enemy or a friend. 'Cause even though you look like me, I know it's a disguise. I see the cover up who and what you are. We gotta keep an eye on you before you go too far. So you say that we're all equal, but you're more equal than the rest. But you're suffering from delusions that you're not better, but not best. 'Cause even though you look like me, I know it's a disguise. I see the cover up who and what you are. We gotta keep an eye on you before you go too far.
Come on. This could be like an old school skate video. Yeah, like, it's not about trying to justify yourself.
So now we're back to the beginning of the end. And I'm wondering if you're an enemy or a friend. 'Cause even though you look at me, I know it's a disguise. I see the cover up who and what you are. We gotta keep an eye on you before you go too far.
It feels very like old school hardcore punk. Like it's a different voice than Dick Lucas certainly, but you could imagine that as either like a Subhumans or like a Culture Shock tune, or at least I could. Nevertheless, I am intrigued. Again, like it seems like they were very short-lived, but you know, just the one song I know makes me curious. I may have to, you know, see if I get my hands on one of those 7 inches, which, you know, it looks like there's at least 3 tracks on both of them, and they're not identical. So yeah, it seems like they had maybe enough for like almost an album, but you know, never actually put one out. So. In any case, shout out to them. Big ups to Misfits of Ska II. It's like the, you know, one of the more random compilations that found its way into my collection, but there are some good songs in there. I found out the Rude Bones through that compilation. It's a Japanese ska band. Is Kamuri? I think Kamuri's on there too, yeah, which is another Japanese ska band that I know much better than Rude Bones. But either way, yeah, we'll go through some more of the tracks. In fact, I think Ato Ichinen is the track by Kamuri that's on Misfits of Ska II. So anyway, let me know what you think of this one. I'll see you next time. Peace.